Today on Faces of Florence, Paul Jones of the Manna House. Paul thought he had retired, but then heard the call to serve the Florence community by helping to feed those who are hungry.
Hey, welcome. We're so glad you found us. Radio Free is a 24-hour Christian mixed radio station broadcasting right here out of Florence, South Carolina. So when you're driving around town, remember to tune it in to 92.5. And if you're outside of the Florence area, you can listen 24 hours a day at radiofree.cc.
Paul Jones, welcome to Radio Free.
Well, thank you for having me.
Well, we talked a little bit before we got rolling here today, and I'm excited about this conversation. You are a delightful person, and you told me before we got started that you like to talk.
I do. Perfect. I love to talk.
Perfect.
So.
Well, this is the Faces of Florence series. The idea is to get to know our neighbors. Mm-hmm. The saying we always say, it's hard to love your neighbor unless you know them.
Right.
And you are, like your shirt says, head over the Manna House.
Correct, Manna House.
We're going to talk a lot about that today. I'm excited. But let's start with just a little bit about you.
Well, I'm actually a transplant. I'm from Washington, D.C., born and raised, and I was in the military for 20 years. And in Sumter, South Carolina, that's where I retired from, Shaw Air Force Base.
Okay.
So got married and stayed there for a good long time. And, I have my wife who was actually from South Carolina, so that's how we got. Gotcha. She kind of talked me into coming here in the military. So we got here and we stayed, and we started, we liked it. So we stayed actually until I retired. So now I have my wife and my two kids. I have a daughter that's a junior, rising senior at USC. And I have another daughter that's a sophomore, rising junior at Wilson in the IB program. And like I said, my wife, she's a principal at Spalding Middle School in Lamar.
Oh, wow.
So, she's gone a long way in her career, and I've gone a long way in my career. Mine was kind of over. I thought I was retired, but as you can see, I'm still working. I retired, semi-retired for a minute, and then God had something else for me to do. So, that's where I ended up. So now here I am at the Manna House.
Well, let's get to that in just a minute. But before, another thing that you're passionate about is football. We talked about that a little bit before we got going. And you are coaching football.
I am coaching at Spalding Middle School. This is probably my third year as a head coach, and probably my fifth year as coaching at Spalding. I love working with kids. This is kind of my passion. Kids and elderly people are my passion. And, I played football when I was young. I played baseball, but, football kind of became my niche. Career kind of got roadsided. I got hurt in the Air Force. I played in the Air Force back when Air Force had like football teams in Europe. Yeah. We would play other bases. So I kind of hurt my knee there, and it kind of went downhill from there. But teaching kids, discipline and technique and all that kind of thing is awesome, because there's so many kids that, especially in where I am, that don't have the guidance or the somebody there to teach them the right way to do it. All they see is what they see on TV. So it's a privilege to be able to help mold minds and bodies of children.
That's awesome. Well, let's talk for a second about growing up in D.C.
Ooh.
Were you a church kid growing up in D.C.?
I was. Born and raised in the church. My mom was Baptist and my dad was Methodist. Well, actually, it's interesting. My mom, when they got married, my mom was Catholic. Okay. And then she converted, and now she became Baptist, and my dad's Methodist. We did a church right up the street from me. It's called Mount Rainier Baptist Church, because it's in Maryland area. Well, it's in Maryland. So it's called Mount Rainier Baptist Church, and my dad went to Queens Chapel Methodist Church. So I bounced from different churches. So I got, and then, my grandfather was a deacon in the church, and they're from Berryville, Virginia. I don't know if you heard that little teeny town in Berryville, but they had a church there, a family church. So, it was just, that's all I knew was a church and sports. So.
Church and sports. Mm-hmm. And you obviously, what made me think of that is you said that you have a passion for children, young kids, and older folks. That just sounds like someone with a heart for people,
Well, you have to understand it. I guess my mom and dad, we were always doing things. I have a story. My mom used to drive me crazy because she was to help anybody. And the one particular time that it reminded me is that we had to go to Baltimore. My mom was like, well, we have to take this dryer to this lady who needs a dryer in Baltimore. Well, I was like, Mom, we're going to Baltimore? She was like, yeah, we're going to Baltimore. It was the middle of the night going to Baltimore in the winter. And me and my cousin, probably about, I don't know, 13, 14 years old. And we knew we were going to a bad place, but I didn't know as bad as it was.
Really?
And it was, my mom's like, don't worry about it. It's all right, God's got us. We're going to take care of this. And as a teenager, I'm like, whatever. I said, Mom, we're in the hood. I mean, like, this ain't the hood from DC. This is a different type of place. And my mother was like, you're going and you're going to put this thing together. So me and my cousin, he was frightened to death, and we threw it together and hooked it up, got it working. I was like, okay, Mom, we got to get out of here. But, things like that. And my dad, he was sang in a choir and people helping them out, and just growing up around people that helped other people is just second nature to me. It really was. I guess that's why I ended up in the military, because that's a service. So
That's right. That's a beautiful thing, and I appreciate you kind of illuminating that a little bit, because there's something special here in Florence. That's kind of why we started doing this thing. And a lot of people like you are here now,
right?
For whatever reason, and we're really blessed about that. So let's transition now into talking about the Manna House, because talk about service. There it is.
Man, it is. Like I said, and it's a weird. My story is actually really weird, because, like I said, I was retired. I had been trying to do so many things. When I got out of the military, I actually went to culinary school. So I got a certification in culinary arts. So I love to cook. So I was I'm gonna make me a restaurant, or I'm gonna do a food truck or something. And everything I did fell through. I mean, I would literally have the money together to buy a building and go to get the building, and they wouldn't call me back. Or I would have the opportunity to get a building, wouldn't have the money. Whatever happened, I would cater, and I'd be tired. I wouldn't be able to spend the money. Everything just wouldn't work for that. So I just kind of gave it up, because my knees were bad, and I didn't like standing up. So I just kind of gave it up, and I was laying in the bed one day, and somebody called me, and they were like, well, before that, while I was in culinary school, I used to volunteer at the Manna House. So I used to come and cook. So I was like, well, I'll just, hone my skills here, and I'm in a servant, and I just love the place. And I actually told the director, I want your job one day. And, it never happened. So I left, and I ended up going to help my wife. I did substitute teaching in my wife's school 2 years. So I had a break. And then I was like, you know what? I'm really tired. I really want a break. So I'm going to retire. Well, phone calls like, you need to call Delphine Tedder. That's the lady, the old director. So I said, I'm going to call you. She said, what's going on? She said, I'm retiring. I'm leaving. I said, then that job you said you wanted, it's here. You need to come down here and get your application, whatever it is. You need to get it. So, and in the midst of things that would not work, that I wanted to work. And I've always been a believer that, if God don't want it to happen, it ain't gonna happen. Yeah, so, and that's the problem, and we butt our heads against walls trying to make it happen. And it wasn't gonna happen. So I said, well, okay, well, God, I went to my shed, I started praying on it, and if that's what you want, find purpose for me. And that popped up. That was the purpose. So I got in, and they hired me, and then I told God, I said, you gotta, whatever you want me to do in here, let's do it. And then the pandemic hit. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. You think that this is gonna be the worst time of my life because of the pandemic and all these things. And that's kind of why the director was there. She's like, she didn't want to deal with the pandemic. So I said, I'll take it on. And everything I asked for is just overflowing. I mean, if you had been to the Manna House when I got there to now, you would think it's a whole different place. All the equipment is brand new. We didn't, and every dime I would spend out, I would get money back in. And I would ask for a grant, they would give me the grant. Anything that I needed to make that facility God's facility, it happened. I mean, we're getting ready to put a brand new roof put on, so, that's $30,000. So you think of the things that came through. One of the biggest ones, and I really got to thank the Aiken Foundation. They gave us $200,000, and I didn't know that was coming. I was like, that all of a sudden one day they just walked in and was like, we got something for you. I was like, okay. And I was struggling with the $50,000 that I had trying to make it work. And she came in and was like, I got a check. And I looked at the check, and I was like, this check's not right, because I was like, I didn't recognize it. So I looked at it, and I looked again. I was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. I almost started crying. So I mean, the Manna House is designed to serve people, and you can't do it without God. It just has to be in it, and He's making sure that we're able to do it. Our community, there are people that need in our community, especially with the pandemic and all that stuff going on. So
yeah, an interesting start to that new career, huh?
It was. So it's been, matter of fact, my year anniversary will be July. In the second week of July, I'll be there a year. So it's gone pretty fast, and things moved on really fast. And I've met people, and like I said, I've met people in different areas, and they just really helped me out, with whatever I needed. So I believe that when you're doing the right thing, God's going to put people in your path. He's going to make sure things are right for you. So and I just enjoy it. Anytime you can get up and smile and say I'm going to work, it's like
that's right.
That's not work. That's just having fun, and that's amazing. I love doing that. So,
well, let's talk about the nuts and bolts of the Manna House.
Okay.
The mission. I was reading up a little bit before you got here. Simple, just feed people who need food.
That's it.
And what the most basic need, I would say. Tell me what that looks like, maybe a day-to-day, kind of what the Manna House does.
Well, actually, we have a motto or saying is, I say we're feeding the souls of the community. So feeding the souls of the community. So in addition to the food part of it, we feed every day, Monday through Friday. We feed breakfast now and lunch. Breakfast is from 8:30 to 9:30, and lunch is from 10:30 to 12. And the meal is a healthy meal. So that's where my culinary stuff comes in. So, I wanted to make sure that they get slop every day, or make sure they don't just get a bag sandwich every day. People need nutrition, that's part of it. So if they're not healthy, then they can't do anything for themselves anyway. Right. So we're definitely feeding them those 2 meals a day. And like I said, they're really good meals, and they get a break too from being outside. Now it's hot. A lot of people out on the streets, they get to come in and cool off a little bit, and get to eat and sit down and relax, and then go on about their day or whatever they're doing. But I have come with a deeper purpose, like I said, because it is. I guess my wife hates when I call it a soup kitchen, but a feeding center. But we're also a food pantry. Families come and get groceries from us once a month. I just started giving out clothes, so we have a clothes pantry. So we have clothes that come in, and I'm also, we're also a liaison with other organizations. So I compile a list of whatever. Like today, someone came to me from the VA. They have for homeless people. If you need, they give out vouchers so you can get a house, get an apartment, get your startup on the electricity and things like that. So when I find that are veterans that are on the street, I can, help them to that. So we are, and just to take Manna House away from there is just not taking away a place where people eat. It's taking away a place where people, you may not get to help, 1,000 people in a year, but if you help 2 or 3, that's what counts, So it's evolving. That's what I'll say. We're trying to evolve it. Matter of fact, after this, I have a board meeting, and they're gonna get to hear some of my ideas. Maybe to shoot some down. Like I wish we could have I want to have like a culinary camp for kids. Something else other than just come here, eat, and go home. Because that was the cycle that I see in our neighborhood. I really, and it's sad to say. I mean, I'm happy. I told somebody I had a good problem, because I was happy during the pandemic. Our numbers were like, we were doing 170 plates a day, and it was just feeding everybody, and it was great. But then I would leave to go home, and all the takeout trays that I had were up and down the street or all in the field. So I was happy that I could feed them, but then I was sad because they were destroying. It was destroying their own neighborhood. Yeah. So how do you look at that as a person? That is as a believer. How do you look at that? You want your business to be big, but my business is feeding people that need. I don't want people to need. I'd rather. I guess I would say if I had nobody come through the door, that means that everybody was taken care of. But then I was shutting my doors down, so they wouldn't need me then. So it's just you're rocking a hard place type thing. So I just believe if more people cared about what they do and how we do it. I mean, we're just a little part of the neighborhood, but we're hoping that, just our little part can spread, to Florence as a whole. So.
Well, tell me about, you said that your motto is that you feed the soul of the community. That's interesting. Unpack that a little bit.
Check this out. First off, we pray every morning without fail. I pray in the morning when we walk in the door, all the workers, and I pray when we leave. So we bring God in and take God with us when we go. So that's just no doubt about that. And then the other part of it is when I was there before, they used to have a ministry, like every Wednesday somebody would come in and preach or say, give a sermon or something like that. We haven't gotten back to it. We have a minister on our board, but because of the pandemic, we hadn't got back to that. But we are going back to that. And I make sure that the people, we have 4 people that work with us, 5 total. And I make sure they understand. I mean, I'm not, Bible beating them, saying that they have to, but what I am helping them understand is, people you don't know what people come from. So, we have to show the love of Christ. If we show the love of Christ, then, you don't have to say much. You just, you can smile and it could just come from you. And those are the things that sometimes people need that we overlook a lot of times. If we come in there grumpy, then they're going to be grumpy, So, if you give them a mean look, okay, they give you a mean look back, but maybe smile at them if they give you a mean look, So those are the type of things how we want to understand, make sure that we stay focused on the mission. And that's the feeding the soul, because the original people that it opened up in 1986. The original people wanted it was a faith base, so it's still a faith based organization. We don't, like I said, we don't turn anybody away, regardless of what you are. I mean, Christ wouldn't turn anybody away, so we don't turn anybody away. But we try to give an atmosphere of Christ. We play gospel music all the time. Every Christmas time we play change up a little bit. But for the most part, we play gospel music or some music that is less of the world. And then and just try to help them out. You talk to them, do what you can. Speak to them outside. There's just so much that we can give that we don't know that we can give, because I guess that's that. And it's weird coming from me from the city, because everybody say, you from the city, y'all don't even speak, but, so, but I just love talking to people, so.
Well, I think it's an interesting visual. You feed all these people, and then you drive home and you see, trash around. I guess that is a soul issue, right? I mean,
it is.
There's something there where if people's souls are full, then maybe they won't do stuff like that. Is that your thought?
It is, and I think that in as a whole, I think we've the pandemic, and this is my experience. The pandemic really has brought me, actually, my family closer in as a family and as a Christian family, because we had to slow down, and we were forced to see things in a different light. I couldn't go to church, couldn't do this, but I had to get it somewhere. So we dug deeper, and then we did family things and all that stuff. But for those that are in the street, they still they weren't able to, capitalize on that, that closeness, that type of thing. So, and it's just, it really is hard. Like I say, you have to, I don't know, you say you have to, there's some that come there like, when are you going to bring back the service? There are a few there that are going to do that. Then there are others that come in, we have the service, they get fed first. So, some just come in line, but, whatever it takes to get them in there. So I wish that it was I wish we could get more people in. I mean, it's just like I said, they're just having such a hard time, or they're just so used to what they have that it's not reaching them like they should, But like I said, if I can get the one or the two, I'm going to be thrilled about that, So.
Well, unpack that a little bit then, Paul, because I think one of the kind of prevailing, I think it's an error, but the people say, okay, if you feed somebody and just give them food, then they're not gonna
do anything.
Right.
Well, like I said, that's the cycle. I saw it, like, literally. I haven't seen them now since I've been back, but when I was working there before, you would see a grandmother, a mother, and a daughter, and a grandkid, all at the same time, and they were basically making the cycle. Yeah. And the kid, and when I came there, I was like, somehow or another, we have to break the cycle. Yeah. This has to be broken. You don't want to. You want to deter them from using this, because if you think about, I don't know if you know this, but around the Manna House, you could get breakfast, lunch, and dinner almost every day of the week for free. You don't have to buy a meal in that area right there, because there's so many stations that are feeding. Okay, so if we do that and I guess I'm not a political guy, but this is one of those things. If you give them a welfare system or a system and they get used to it, they're just gonna get happy with it. So somewhere the chain has to be broken. So I don't know if I don't know what I can do, as the soup kitchen. Do I just shut down or whatever? But what I'm trying to do is give other opportunities. Like I said, I want to use our facility for, maybe in the evening have some counseling, or maybe have some job training things, or, like I said, we've already stepped our game up with the clothing, because they have really good clothes. We actually, the family that owns the dry cleaners in this area, they donated clothes. You know how people don't pick up clothes?
Yeah.
Well, from 2018, 2019, and people don't take raggedy clothes to the cleaner. So we got really nice clothes and they didn't want to take it. They didn't want to take it to like the place that sells them. They wanted to make sure somebody got them. Wow. So what we have to do, we have it divided up so people that, going on a job application or something like that, they can get a nice suit or a nice dress or something, shoes, whatever it was, because that started really, it was actually in the fall. A girl came to get something to eat and she didn't have shoes on. It was cold. I was like, where are your shoes? I don't have any shoes. So I just left and I went to, I think it was, one of those places, discount shoes. So I just bought 2 pair of shoes and I brought it to her and I sat down and started thinking. I was like, this is crazy. I don't know why somebody. So we used to open up a clothes pantry, because I thought about the clothes I had in my house, the things that I had, so that ministry took off. So if we can, move around the giving thing and get to the learning thing. And that's what I'm trying to get, that's what I want to try to get to. That's why like I said, cooking is one of my things that actually my kitchen manager, she loves kids and she's a phenomenal cook. You need to come by and get you a free lunch. I always say that we have the best free lunch in town. So you should come by and get your free lunch. But she would also like to do like a kids camp, because you don't know the next chef, or so it at least give them an opportunity to see, okay, I like cooking, maybe I can go into this instead of having to come here and get food all the time. Maybe I can make this a career. Victor's is hiring, or somebody's hiring. All these people are hiring for jobs now, but they don't have the skill to do it. So if I could contribute that way, that's one of the ideas. So I'm just trying to pick the brains of people to find out, and like I said, network with people to just find a way to get them out of that circle. Like I said, I guess my goal is to shut us down. I hate to say that, but that's my goal.
Well, God will have something else for you if you do, man.
Maybe shut the giving part down and make it into a center for something else. So, tightening up resumes or some stuff like that. Something that is building, not just so much enabling. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Well, I just want to encourage you. I just think you're so on the right track. What you said just a minute ago is huge. If you can just get 2 or 3, you can feed hundreds of people, and there's 2 or 3 who make that turn. That's beautiful. And I know everybody needs to understand that is enough. You know what I'm saying? It is.
And I've actually seen a few, at least 2. I've seen 2 people that I knew were used to eat there, and they came back and they were like, I got a job now. I'm working here. So I'm working this place. And I was so happy, so proud. I was like, man, how you doing with it? I'm doing great. I just want, and then would give us a donation. I was like, whoa, he was like, well, I knew where I was back then, and I know this place helped me out. So I know at least 2, myself, Miss Tedder, she, like I said, she was there for 20 some years, 30, almost
probably
30
got a
years.
list.
Yeah, she probably has a list. But like I said, it's not as many as we want. But like you said, you can always remember those 1 or 2 that you actually did something for, because when you do something for somebody that gives them a leg up, they never forget it. They just don't. That's so huge. And I was so happy when they came back. They were like, well, I'm gonna have to just give you this donation. Matter of fact, I gave me like 2 or 3 donations. She's like, I'm just gonna keep donating here because I'm being blessed, so I need to bless somebody. So and that's the way we feel.
That's beautiful. Well, the kind of final question usually is, what, to someone watching, what do you say that the Manna House does for Florence? We're kind of this series kind of focused on Florence specifically, and some of it's obvious. You're feeding people who need to be fed, but what do you think, like in a bigger community way? In a bigger community way, we actually have a volunteer system. So I would think for Florence wise, we have high schools that come, classes come, and they. When they come, they get the Sergeant Jones,
Really, they do. They get a lot of discipline. We've had King's Academy come, and they get the discipline, and I'm gonna stay on them. But while I'm talking to them, I tell them about the experiences of people that are in there. They meet the people there, and I help them understand that we as people, as humans on Earth, have to be able to interact with everybody, and that piece right there is a great piece. That's why I encourage any child. If a child wants to come, I bring them. I'm going to protect them. Don't worry about it. I got the protection part. I just want them to be able to understand that when they go out on their own and I can identify with this. I understand, they don't live the same way we live, or they were in a different circumstance. Right. And that's a lot with the problem with us in America, because, people don't know where we've been, or they don't understand how you don't understand this. Why don't you understand? Well, I don't live that way. I didn't live in a place where, had meals every day or something like that. So, when you can see that, you have a better understanding, and you can relate more. And that's what I want our youth to be able to relate more with each other, because, we got to be on this earth together. We have to. It's just no doubt about it. You're gonna be on this earth together. When we die, then that's a different story. But we're gonna be on this earth together, and you have to be able to interact with each other, and that's a big. It's something that I don't see a lot. Especially like I said. You want to, but everybody has their bubbles. Yep. And those bubbles got to interact somehow. Yeah. And you can't understand. Even working in Lamar, Lamar's populations is kind of a poor population. Those kids, a lot of them haven't gone past, maybe Myrtle Beach, but they don't understand the other side of it either. So if they can interact and say, okay, well, that person can do this. Well, they're going to school, they're getting their books right, and their families do this. They can see it and be inspired to do that the other way around. Wow. So that interaction is just so necessary. It really is.
Absolutely. Well, that's it right there, man. Making better people. That's it. Is good for every community.
It is because you get less strife. People can understand. You can see how they see that. It's like you're like, I don't understand. Well, if you put yourself in their shoes and look at it from the other way, maybe they've never seen a homeless person before, so they react different than you, because you've seen a homeless person before. I had my youngest daughter would be mad, but when she was younger, I had, being from Washington D.C., if I want to get gas, I would just pull over wherever I was and get gas. So I would pull into places that there'd be people on the streets, or to ask for money, and she would be terrified. I mean, literally be terrified. And I would look at her, but I wouldn't say anything, because I would want her to be, you don't worry about it. I'm here. You need to be used to this. I said, these people are not here to harm you. I mean, some of them are, but that's the street smart side of it. But for the most part, you should be able to go and get gas wherever you want. Go get your gas, come on back, get in your car, and it's all right. I said, but once she realized that there are people out there like that, then she got a little more comfortable with it, and that's the thing. She never had seen that before. She was like, I've never seen that before. Well, I understand, because you live over there in the house, and your mom shields you and all this kind of stuff. So.
Right. So you invite people to come see some of that stuff.
Yes.
Well, let's tell people how they can do that. What's a good way to get in touch with you and maybe get set up for some of this volunteer stuff? Right.
Well, the best way to get in touch with us is we're open, like I said, from 7:30 to 1:30 during the day. And if you call our numbers at 843-667-6077. There we have a assistant, Miss Stephanie. She will put you on a list. You're welcome to come and volunteer. We always get volunteers. Thanksgiving and Christmas, we got more volunteers than we ever had. We can't find enough work for them, because that's what everybody wants to do. But during the summertime, it's hard because everybody's got vacations and whatnot. But we do have a nice we used to have a big volunteer staff, but COVID's kind of slowed that down. But now that our facility is clean 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times a day, because I stay on top of them by cleaning up, and then all of our workers are vaccinated except for one. But for the most part, we still social distance. We wear the mask, and we just make sure that everybody's safe. And that's the key to it. I didn't really want to put our workers in any kind of harm's way, because most of them are elderly. Even the ones that we get paid are elderly. But I didn't want to get them in any harm's way, so we ended up getting vaccinated early. So, but they are welcome to come. And if we're on, I hate to We're on Facebook too, but I don't know if I forgot what our thing is.
Well, I'll find it and put a link to it because I like to put links with this.
Yes, and we do. My wife's be mad at me like, no kidding, you didn't know that. But our Facebook, we put on our Facebook every time we do something, we celebrate. We show what's going on. We actually had opportunity. One of our board members owns the pharmacy. It's called Well Center Pharmacy. It's on Irby Street. She came in and volunteered her time, and she gave out vaccinations to those who wanted vaccinations. Wow. So that was one of the things that Manna House did. We opened up the doors for a pharmacy to come and be able to give the vaccination. So those are things that I want us to be able to do, even with like counselors. If counselors want to come down and set up shop or something, something that the people feel more comfortable with. Sometimes they're not so comfortable coming down to DHEC or wherever they got to go. But if they know the Manna House, they're a little more comfortable. So I'm really trying to rack my brain into making sure, trying to find ways other than just feeding them food for the soul to be fed. So. I might be singing down there next week or something, so you never know.
Well, we'll keep tabs on that because I want to see that.
Yeah.
Well, Paul Jones, I appreciate you so much, man. I appreciate what you're doing. Appreciate the Manna House. We're going to keep praying for you guys.
Please do.
And we're going to put, like I said, we're going to put the information along with this video, and hopefully we can beef that volunteer staff back up for you.
That's it. Like I said, and we have so much fun. Actually, on the 26th, 26th, New Spring and the Flourish in Florence.
Helping Flourish Flourish.
Helping Flourish Flourish. They're gonna actually come and paint our cafeteria for us. They're gonna donate the paint and paint the cafeteria, and we're gonna have a great time. Really are. It's gonna be awesome. Like I said, I was working with Leadership Florence right now, and that's a good organization that let me network with a lot of people. So it's just it's gonna be a great time. So, but like I said, if you want to come volunteer, we have a good time. We get a good meal, and you get to do some service that that would help out the community and yourself. Because you feel so much better when you serve. I mean, people just cannot overlook the fact that when you serve somebody, you feel that much better. My wife used to go crazy because there's a lady in Timminsville, a little old lady in I can say a little old lady. My mama and my other mother in Timminsville that I locked on to, and I just go see her every Friday, take her water, I take her to her appointments, all that stuff. And I just met the lady in my church. So, and now it's just, that's what I do. So every week I go see her, and then I work with the kids. And then the Manna House, my wife's like, you just serve a lot. Well, when you serve, it makes you feel better. It does. It makes me feel so much better to help somebody than it does to take from them. Yeah, so it's just, I don't know.
That's beautiful, man.
It is.
Well, may your tribe increase, sir. Again, thank you so much for being a part of this.
I appreciate you inviting me. I really do. So, like I said, my wife was like, you gonna do a podcast? I was like, I think so, this podcast. She's like, all right, don't say nothing crazy. I was like, no, I'll be all right. I said, believe me. I said, I got God with me, so we're gonna be all right. So, and I do appreciate us praying before we started. That really makes me feel really good. I do.
Excellent. Well, thanks again, man.
Hey, no problem at all. So, anytime.